Hello, hello, here's Vest Guy with another top 5 video. So I just finished watching a trailer for, I think, a movie's called Death Kiss with a guy who looks just like Charles Bronson. It's scary. I probably can't act from what I've looked, but he looks just like him. So it inspired me to want to do a top 5 video of Charles Bronson. Before you had Van Damme, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, you had, even before, around the time of Clint Eastwood maybe, you had Charles Bronson. This guy made movies from as early as the 50s all the way up until the late 90s. And they're all great little crime action films. And I think he made the most amount of movies for Canon, the company that made a lot of schlocky action cheap movies during the 80s. Number 5 is a movie that he made in the 50s. And it's called Machine Gun Kelly. Not to be confused with a rapper, nothing to do with a rapper. This movie came out in the 50s, and it's a drive-in movie. It's like one of those 50s double features that you would watch up in a drive-in. And the movie is basically Charles Bronson plays a guy who is dedicated to just stealing banks. He's a thug. He doesn't care about anybody. But without his gun, this guy's a complete coward. Like, everyone follows him and thinks of him as this big macho guy, but in reality, he's just a coward who just wants status. And of course, this is early in his career, before he had the signature tiny little mustache. This is when he was completely clean shaven, and you can tell that he was still learning how to be the Charles Bronson that he eventually became, which is really quiet and brooding. And his hair wasn't brushed like that, it was more back and slick. The movie is in black and white. It's not available on DVD, it's only available on VHS through this catalog called Driving Classics. And Driving Classics was a company that would release, the Columbia Pictures house, they would release a lot of lower budget 50s sci-fi films. And what I liked about it is that whenever you played those movies on VHS, they gave you trailers for 50s movies like Tarantula, Earth vs. the Spider, Teenage Zombies, and they would play these trailers as if you were watching a movie in the 50s drive-ins. And Machine Gun Kelly is no exception. Watch the movie if you like action, if you like, 50s movies with gangsters in it. It's pretty enjoyable and it's pretty short. I think it's like an hour and 25 minutes. It's not exactly a long movie. Number 4 is a movie that was actually remade with Jason Statham and it was given a sequel, and the movie's The Mechanic. The Mechanic is a movie that was released, I believe, through MGM. Charles Bronson plays a guy who's a hitman for hire, and he has to work with a partner. And this movie has one of the best twists I've seen in an action film, and I won't reveal. And it wasn't exactly used in the Jason Statham remake. The Jason Statham remake I thought was pretty blah, and I haven't seen the sequel called Resurrection. But the original one with Charles Bronson has not only great action sequences, but has really good cinematography for a 1970 action film. This is at the height of Charles Bronson's acting career. This was during the time he was releasing a lot of hard-hitting action movies, like Death Wish. Mechanic also has not just great cinematography, but has good directing, and I believe this was produced by Dino De Laurentiis, if I'm not mistaken. So check out The Mechanic. That is my number 4. Number 3 is a movie that Charles Bronson did with actor Alain Delon. If you don't know who Alain Delon is, is a French actor who's known for films like Les Samurai. He did movies like Purple Noon. You can find all these movies in the Criterion catalog. And he ended up doing some movies here in America. He didn't actually become that famous, but I think had they given him a chance, he could have been like a James Bond kind of actor. He actually appeared in a spy film called Scorpius, which no one remembers. But in this movie, Under Among Thieves, Charles Bronson and Alain Delon joined together to steal this safe, and it uses good sense of action and comedy and a little bit of espionage. It's all really, really well. I'm not sure if this movie's on DVD. I remember seeing it on VHS, and I think it goes around under 2 different titles. I know it as Under Among Thieves, but I think it also has a different title on DVD. So if I do find out what other title it is, it'll probably be around here somewhere. Number 2 is a classic from Sergio Leone, Once Upon a Time in the West. This was made after The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. After he finished doing the Dollars trilogy, he made a film called Once Upon a Time in the West, which people think it's superior. Most people would say it's superior to Good, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but actually would put it around the same level. Clint Eastwood was supposed to return in this film, but he wanted to come back to the States and do American films versus Italian westerns. So they contracted Charles Bronson, who in reality was supposed to have been in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and all the other ones. But at the time, Sergio Leone could not afford Charles Bronson because he was already a big A-list actor. But by this time, this was an Italian-American production, so they could hire him. So he plays this character very mysterious, known as Harmonica, who's seeking revenge from Henry Fonda's character after killing his brother. This might be considered a spoiler, but it's not. He does kill his brother. But that's just a minimal thing throughout the rest of the film, because there's other stuff going on, and it has great cinematography, a stellar cast. Check it out. It's one of the best westerns and one of the best performances that I've seen from Charles Bronson. Even though he doesn't say much in the film, he does a lot with his eyes and the looks that he gives throughout the film.
You know, squint.
Yeah.
He's got that squint like every movie. You know she's about to go down.
She's about to go down, yeah.
You squint real hard.
And the movie with the biggest amount of squints is number 1, Death Wish. Death Wish is the movie that everyone remembers from his career. And it had a bunch of sequels, which got even more ridiculous as it kept incrementing sequels. Because the first film was done by a Paramount and Dino De Laurentiis, and the other sequels were done by Cannon. And Cannon was like, okay, in part 1, he got revenge for his family. Part 2, he gets revenge for his daughter. Part 3, let's just have him kill drug dealers. Part 4, let's just him kill drug dealers and the drug cartel and the other drug kingpins. Let's just, number 5, the fashion industry. It's like, fuck it. No, seriously, part 5, it does go into the fashion industry. It's just ridiculous, like what Cannon did with the Death Wish movies. And I love it. It's great. There's a part, I think in part 4, where Charles Bronson, has a rocket launcher, and the drug kingpin is about to kill, I think, his girlfriend. He's like, I'm gonna do it! And he just throws a rocket launcher and blows the shit out of the villain. And somehow his girlfriend, does she survive? I don't remember. I think she does. But he does kill her. He kills her. I had to kill the bitch. I had to do it. And then he just blows him up. And he goes, bah! That's how you kill a villain in the movie. You blow him up after he kills your girlfriend.
I told you. I warned you. I'd kill her. I warned you. I'd kill her.
That's Death Wish. But the first one was a serious movie about a guy who was just a regular guy who worked in an office. He was an architect. And he was very normal, had a very boring life. And all of a sudden, his wife gets raped by Jeff Goldblum. It was one of the early films that Jeff Goldblum made. And I was like, I'm gonna come in and I need your money, and I'm gonna rape you. Yeah. My dick finds a way. But no, on a serious note, Jeff Goldblum, he's not given much lines in this movie. But there's a part where Jeff Goldblum's trying to act. And he goes, "Where's the money, bitch?" And it's like, whoa, Jeff. Damn. Okay. So, and he does spray paint this woman's ass as a bullseye, just so he knows where his dick is gonna go. And he rapes her. And then the funny thing is that, which I think is very accurate, he does become a vigilante afterwards and starts killing people and thugs, but he never finds the people who actually killed and raped his wife and daughter. He never finds out who they are. So, and he never seeks technically justice for it. They ended up, not being mentioned again. Had they done that, which I think what they did with the Bruce Willis movie, where he actually does find the people, it's just a movie cliche. He ends up finding who they are. In this movie, he doesn't. So I thought that was a little bit well done. That's what makes it stand out. And of course, Charles Bronson, you're seeing how a guy goes from being normal to being pushed to the edge. And it's not done in a complete 180. It's still done in a very realistic way. Even the way he holds a gun, he's very nervous. Even though he's used guns at gun ranges, they show that in the character. He occasionally does go to a gun range. He's still very nervous. He's never killed a human being before. So, and there's even a scene where Charles Bronson has a sock full of quarters. He starts spinning them and he hits a guy in the face. It's crazy. But yeah, I love the first one. I love all of them, but the first one's the one that's actually a good crime action film. The other ones just became really ridiculous. There's even a scene where, I think even in the third one, where one of the drug gang leaders, who has like a bunch of weird Everyone, this is how old people back in the day thought the future was going to be, because it's about 10 years after the first one. You know, gang leaders have like these weird like Navajo like lines of red all over their faces, and they have these weird vests that have spikes in them. You know, yeah, you know, we're cool and we're criminals, yeah. And one of them also gets blown up by Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson likes to blow up people a lot for some reason. Imagine if you got to blow up Jeff Goldblum's character. Yeah, you know, I guess you have to, you know, death finds a way. Yeah. These are the top 5 Charles Bronson movies. Check them out. You know, if you like good crime action movies, I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy them. Anyway, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, share with everyone who likes action movies, and even share with people who don't, so they can learn a little bit about film history. You know, Charles Bronson blowing people up for no real reason. I didn't even think he blows up an old lady crossing the street. No, I'm kidding. He never doesn't do that. But it'd be funny if he did.